Minister. Thanks so much for joining us with those updates. And moving on, viewers, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has made an appeal that has the entire nation talking. To put it bluntly, he said, don't buy gold for a year, postpone foreign travel, cut out fuel consumption or cut it further, as well as slash the use of cooking oil and work from home where possible. His message is simple: save dollars, protect India's foreign exchange reserves, and the Prime Minister's appeal to the nation comes amidst the ongoing Iran war, the resultant rise in crude oil prices and pressure on the rupee.
मेरी देश के हर नागरिक से अपील है, जहां संभव हो पेट्रोल डीजल का उपयोग कम करें, मेट्रो का उपयोग करें, इलेक्ट्रिक बस और पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट का अधिक इस्तेमाल करें, कार पुलिंग को बढ़ावा दें, खाने के तेल पर भी देश की बड़ी विदेशी मुद्रा खर्च होती है। अगर हम थोड़ा संयम बरतें, तेल की खपत कम करें, खाने के तेल की, तो इससे देश और हमारी सेहत दोनों को लाभ होगा। जब तक हालात सामान्य न हो, हम सोने की खरीद को टालें, गोल्ड की जरूरत नहीं है।
So why is Prime Minister Modi urging Indians to conserve forex? Crude prices are volatile, staying sticky above the $106 per barrel mark and swing as high as 126 recently. Let's also take a look at some of the aspects that we're putting out. Crude imports require forex, which is already under pressure given the rupee's weakness under the dollar or against the dollar. April alone has seen foreign institutional investor outflows of $7.5 billion, taking year-to-date outflows beyond $20 billion. And that is, of course, one of the significant factors as well. But how exactly does this skipping of gold and in fact make a big difference as far as India's forex position is concerned? The answer is as far as the maths are concerned. Let's take a look at what the maths are. India's gold import, if you can quickly get the details up on the screen, is at $72 billion in financial year 2026. This is a 24% rise from 2025, the second largest buyer of gold in the world. There's also the fact that the gold bars and coins demand has jumped 34% year on year here in India. And now to an appeal from the Prime Minister, which came as a surprise for many. Indians have been urged to cut down on the use of vegetable oil and petrol. But what happens if we try to curb our oil and petrol consumption? Let me explain to you the impact through the numbers. As far as crude oil import is concerned, it is 5,700 crores per day. If we cut 10 to 15% of consumption, the saving is massive, 21,000 to 31,000 crores per quarter as well. If you look at road transport, for instance, it's 3,800 crore rupees per day. If we follow the 2-day work from home or carpooling guideline, then the savings are huge. It's about 4,500 to 8,000 per month that we're talking about. There's also, of course, aviation fuel, which is 235 crore rupees per day. If we cut one foreign trip, on an average, the potential saving could be 5 to 12 lakh per family as far as each trip is concerned. Let's take a look at public transport. 1.2 lakh crores per year is the subsidy given. If we shift to metro, bus, etc., the commuter saves 75%, or at least lower expenditure in terms of per kilometer rates. That's, of course, as far as the cost curbing aspects are concerned. Let's take a look at the next aspect, which is, of course, what happens as far as jewelry. We've seen certain jewelry stocks also hit after the Prime Minister has spoken. For instance, we've seen Titan minus 6.6% is the intraday fall. What spooked investors is believed to be the market leader who's most exposed to retail jewelry. We've seen Senco Gold also hit by about 10.8%, Kalyan Jewelers also 9.5%, and here as well, the high wedding season dependence, the mid-cap volatility, store expansion cycle demand, as well as the sensitive valuations, demand-sensitive valuations that we are seeing also impact as far as these are concerned. So viewers, what about the politics surrounding this? Now, opposition has obviously seen and argued that the Middle war has been raging for, the Middle East war, I beg your pardon, has been raging for 75 days, and yet the PM spoke of these austerity measures only after polls. Now, they are coming out to say that the Prime Minister needs to practice what he preaches. However, on the other hand, the government has assured that there are adequate energy supplies and that the call for conservation is purely precautionary, not a sign of shortage.
और जिस तरह से ईंधन को लेकर वो बात कर रहे हैं कि कब इस्तेमाल कीजिए, लेकिन दूसरी तरफ ईंधन का इस्तेमाल भी हो रहा है, बढ़ा चढ़ा के हो रहा है।
आपसे कहते हैं विदेशी यात्रा मत कीजिए, लेकिन वो यूरोप की यात्रा पर 5 दिन के लिए जा रहे हैं। बड़ी गर्मी है देश में।
सोने से क्या मतलब इसका जो ईरान युद्ध चल रहा है अमेरिका इजराइल का? जी गलती आपकी है, आपके सरकार की है, जनता पर ये आरोप मत लगाइए।
Why can't he work from home? Why can't he address these people virtually? So the Indian citizen should follow what the Prime Minister says, but the Prime Minister will not follow what he says.
ये सारा ज्ञान चुनाव भर याद नहीं आया मोदी जी को? तब कह रहे थे कोई कमी नहीं है, पूरा भंडार भरा हुआ है।
अगर हम में से कोई सवाल उठाता था तो आप कहते थे कि पैनिक क्रिएट मत करो। आपके लोग कहते थे, आज ये पैनिक बटन नहीं दबा दिया आपने।
हमारी क्रूड इन्वेंटरी मेंटेन है, टाइड अप है। हमारी रिफाइनरीज ऑप्टिमम लेवल पर ऑपरेट कर रही हैं। पेट्रोल और डीजल के पर्याप्त स्टॉक्स अवेलेबल हैं। 3 दिनों में 1,14,00,000 बुकिंग के अगेंस्ट 1,26,00,000 घरों में एलपीजी सिलेंडर पहुंचाया गया है।
All right, so viewers, even though this is, an issue which has acquired political dimensions, our discussion today is going to be with experts to see what the impact will be for the Aam Aadmi, for the middle class citizen as well. And let me quickly introduce our panelists. With us is Vijay Sardana, who's a senior economist. Rajesh Rokde is chairman of the All India Gem and Jewelry Domestic Council. Also with us is Kshitiz Mahajan, who's a managing partner and CEO of Complete Circle. We have Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, senior economist, also joining us. And we're also calling in your views. Viewers, join us and share with us your perspectives, any doubts, any clarifications you'd like from our panel of experts. You're more than welcome to call us on the number that's flashing on the screen below. Let's quickly take this across, in fact, to our first guest, Rajesh Rokde. I'd like you to come in on this. What's the likely impact, Rajesh, on the entire jewelry industry? We've seen certain stocks that are hit. What can we expect in coming days? Agar logon ne kharidari kam kar di, about even 10 to 15% or 20%, what is the impact that will have?
देखिए, प्रधानमंत्री जी का कल का जो वक्तव्य था, इस वजह से पूरी इंडस्ट्री में एक भूचाल सा आ चुका है और सभी हमारे कारागिर, सभी हमारे जो एम्प्लॉइज जितने भी है वो सभी डरे हुए हैं कि ये इंडस्ट्री शायद लॉकडाउन में न चले जाए या क्लोज न हो जाए, क्योंकि अगर डिमांड या लोग खरीदारी नहीं करेंगे तो शायद अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हो सकता है। हमारे करीब 60 लाख जो कारागिर है पूरे इंडिया में, पूरे भारत में, वो उनके लिए एक बड़ा संकट सा दिखने लग गया। और हमारी इंडस्ट्री से एफिलेटेड बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्रीज होती है, जैसे कि लॉजिस्टिक इंडस्ट्री है, जैसे कि हमारे साथ इंश्योरेंस इंडस्ट्री है, बैंकिंग इंडस्ट्री है, बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्री इसके साथ एफिलेटेड होती है। तो कहीं ना कहीं बाकी इंडस्ट्री को भी इसका इम्पैक्ट जा सकता है। ओवरऑल मैं देखता हूं ये इंडस्ट्री 7% का जीडीपी में ग्रोथ देती है और ये ज्वेलरी हम लोग ज्वेलरी बना के बेचते हैं, उसमें कहीं ना कहीं वैल्यू एडिशन होता है और रोजगार इससे बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ता है। हमारे यहाँ पैकेजिंग मटेरियल जो हम लोग इस इंडस्ट्री के साथ जुड़े हुए होते हैं, तो ये एक बड़ा इम्पैक्ट, बड़ा डेंट एक तरह से इंडस्ट्री पे हो सकता है।
Okay.
आज पहला दिन है, काफी लोग थोड़ा सा मार्केट में
well, we'll take a look. We can understand, obviously, the industry would have its concerns, but let's quickly take this across to some of our viewers as well who are joining us. Pradeep Kumar is our first viewer joining us from Mysuru. Yes, Pradeep.
Sir, the call is given in the interest of the nation economy. I support Prime Minister's views in this regard.
All right. So what all will you be implementing?
So I already started cutting down vehicle movement. I already started using the public transport from today only.
Right.
Okay.
So very interesting to see that already the Prime Minister's words are having that impact on ground. Thanks so much for joining us, Pradeep Kumar. Let's go across to Lalit, who's joining us from Bengaluru. Yes, Lalit. I think we've lost that line there with Lalit, but let me bring in Vijay Sardana. Vijay Sardana, interesting to see that already the Prime Minister's words, having that impact on ground. In fact, one viewer calling us from Mysuru, and we have other viewers who will be joining us shortly as well. But would you like to respond to Mr. Rajesh Rokde, who says that this is going to be a huge concern for the jewelry industry? Now, how do you see all of these impacts having as far as the economy is concerned in terms of all of these austerity measures? Is there something that, the Aam Aadmi, the middle class person needs to be concerned about or aware about at least?
Definitely, when Prime Minister is saying something, one thing is very clear, that politicians will never say that there is a crisis. They will always talk about messaging, that how to handle the situation. Now it is for us to understand that why Prime Minister is saying now, because he also knows the way things are changing in the Gulf area. The Iran war is not likely to close down soon. It means unless we take action now, it will be too late. That is why what Prime Minister is saying is warning the country that don't blame me later on when you don't get fuel, because dollar to rupee conversion is becoming adverse. We have already crossed 95. So these are realities. Now, as far as gold is concerned, now there are two ways to look at it. There are few things where we can reduce the consumption, which are non-essential, and there are few things which are essential. In case of essential commodities, he is saying try to be more careful, whether it is petrol, edible oil, and other things which we are consuming. See that if you can conserve them. On the other side, he is treating gold as a non-essential investments or a consumption item. That's why he says at least avoid for a year. Overall, if I try to conclude all the 7 points which Honorable Prime Minister is mentioning, one thing is very clear, that dollar flow to India is in crisis.
Right.
Because our economy, unfortunately, is import dependent. We always keep talking about Make in India, Aatmanirbhar Bharat. That remains up to slogans.
Okay.
Everything.
Let me quickly bring in. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you there. We have some more viewers joining us. We have Ajesh joining us from Qatar. Yes, Ajesh.
Yeah, hi, good evening. I certainly agree with what Prime Minister told, because he is not seeing politics in this, unlike our opposition or other people who are opposing that. What he sees is like the betterment of the country. What country needs at that particular moment. I worked in Doha, Qatar, for the last 20 years, and 30 years I'm in the Gulf. We have severely increased the prices for all the materials over here. You'll be shocked and surprised to hear how much it has been increased. Nobody will cry here. There's no opposition, no politics, nothing here. So nobody will say anything. They'll just bear with whatever it is that.
How much has it increased? What are you trying to convey?
People will not see the reasons for that. They will just keep complaint, against the government. That's it. Which we should not do that.
Okay, I think Ajesh is not able to hear me. Let me come in on that note. Thanks so much, Ajesh, for joining us. And let me bring in Dr. Santosh Mehrotra. Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, these are two ordinary people who've called up our newsroom just now, and they are saying that what the Prime Minister said is a laudable move, because this should not be seen, with a political lens, because essentially what he's saying is for the Indian economy. Dr. Mehrotra, do you agree with that?
Indeed, Madhav, of course, we would like to support what the PM is saying, and those people who can do it should do it. But the way to actually implement something like this is very straightforward. What the government ought to be doing, if you want to reduce the consumption of gold, is to put a tax on gold. The government will generate some revenues, and yes, it will reduce some business for Rokhde Sahab and his friends. But the fact of the matter is that the imports of gold amount to the second largest import item after oil in our economy. And we need to conserve foreign exchange in order to be able to continue to buy oil to keep the economy running. Point one. Point two, the second thing that the government, I'm almost certain it will do by tomorrow or later this week, is to raise the prices of petrol and diesel. I hope it raises the price of petrol, but not of diesel, because if it raises the price of diesel, it will feed through the rest of the economy and cause inflation, the vast majority of goods and services that are being issued. The third thing I believe that the government could do should be to actually increase the price of urea, because if you increase the price of urea, there is excessive use of urea happening currently. Of all urea that is applied in our farms, 60% is imported, only the rest is produced domestically, and urea is the most subsidized fertilizer.
Right.
Now, the result of the excessive subsidization, Madhav, of urea is that there is an excessive use of urea relative to the other two, potassium.
Okay. I'm going to come back to you. Dr. Mehrotra, please stay with us, because we have some more viewers joining us. Anant is with us from Bengaluru. Anand, what is your query?
Good evening, Madhav. In fact, Prime Minister's call is not an austerity call. It is a responsible economic preparedness. Okay, because many countries advise conservation during geopolitical uncertainty. India is acting proactively, not reactively. The message is simple: spend wisely, save strategically, and strengthen the nation collectively. When the global economy faces turbulence, prudent spending becomes economic prioritism. So the Prime Minister's message is very clear. I don't know why the opposition are creating mountain of molehill.
Okay, let me quickly bring in fact, thanks so much for joining us, Anand, with your views. But let me quickly bring in Kshitij Mahajan as well. Kshitij, what do you make of this? In fact, the previous speaker, of course, was reaffirming faith in the Prime Minister's decision, saying that, sort of these kind of situations are required in times like these. But Dr. Mehrotra has made 2 or 3 points. He says that the petrol prices should be hiked immediately, not diesel, because that will have an inflationary impact. Gold should perhaps be taxed if they want to reduce the, the purchase of gold, and also urea prices should be increased forthwith. Do you see all this happening immediately, Kshitij?
Good evening. Please understand that our foreign reserve from 730 billion has gone down to 688. Almost 40 billion has gone in protecting the currency, which was depreciating because of foreign investment moving out. And now a weak foreign reserve or falling foreign reserve means weak rupee. Weak rupee means your imports become costly. Import becomes costly, your current account deficit widens. And that's further trigger foreign reserve moving out. It's a vicious cycle. Now you have to protect that. I think it's better late than never. And I think at the size of our country, where we don't have a fixated fuel prices with regard to markets, in many of the countries it has already gone high. With the size, with the population which consume, I think that's the right steps which have been taken. And my sense is, I'm not sure, but I think the fuel price should be increased. Government can't take it on its balance sheet for long. And right now, luckily, we have a controlled inflation also. And God willing, this war should get over. But if not get over, we can't have foreign reserve flowing out, which is very important in state of crisis, in state of war. And I think fuel prices should go up across petrol or diesel. My sense is that. Gold, as rightly said by my fellow colleague, but point is, irrespective of we put a duty, people who want to consume gold, they will consume gold. But there is a message which you have to send that maybe they can delay. I'm not saying that they should not buy, but they can delay the purchases and they can help the government in retaining dollars. So we all should contribute in that. Now let's not make it political, but I think we should all contribute.
That by and large, the viewers who've thus far called, at least 3 of them have said that this is the need of the hour, that they are certainly with the Prime Minister on it. Let's quickly bring in Balasubramaniam from Bengaluru as well. Yes, Mr. Balasubramaniam.
Yeah, good morning. I actually from Coimbatore. I recently had been to USA and returned on 27th April after spending 3 months in USA. The prices have almost doubled. The petrol prices, which was around $2, has moved to $4, and all the essentials has moved up. We should be happy that we are maintaining the price in the US, in India now, and I fully agree with the Prime Minister now that we should have a way to conserve our foreign capital.
Right. Let's quickly bring in other viewers. Thanks so much, Mr. Balasubramaniam. Vishnu Sharma is with us from Mumbai. Yes, Vishnu. विष्णु शर्मा, आपको आवाज आ रही है?
यस आ रही है।
बोलिए।
हाँ, तो मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब ने जो भी अपील किया है पूरे अपना इंडिया को, वो मतलब करंट सिचुएशन जो जियोपॉलिटिकल और जो चल रहा है उसके अकॉर्डिंग बिल्कुल सही है और हम सब लोगों को उस बात को मानना चाहिए। लेकिन एक ही रिक्वेस्ट है कि मोदी साहब को ये क्लियर करना चाहिए कि इससे अल्टीमेटली गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से वो क्या उसमें हेल्प कर सकते हैं। बिकॉज जो आप गोल्ड के लिए बोल रहे हैं कि आप गोल्ड मत खरीदिए, तो करीब 60 लाख और 60 लाख जो उसमें एम्प्लॉई है उनको काफी उससे नुकसान हो जाएगा और ये पूरी इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर फर्क पड़ेगा और अपना जीडीपी का करीब 6 से 7% उसे कंट्रीब्यूट होता है। तो ओवरऑल आपका जो मार्केट के अंदर है ना, उसका एक साइक्लिकल इफेक्ट पड़ेगा। तो मोदी साहब को ये चीज क्लियर करना चाहिए कि सरकार के उसमें क्या मेजर है, अदरवाइज ये पूरा का एक साइकिल है ना ये करके और रिसेशन की कंडीशन में ये कंट्री जा सकती है।
ओके, रिसेशन के लिए ना जाए, इस पे गवर्नमेंट को क्लैरिफाई करना होगा। थैंक्स सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस विद योर पर्सपेक्टिव, विष्णु। लेट्स गो क्रॉस टू जेम्स फ्रॉम बेंगलुरु। यस जेम्स।
Yeah, see, I think what the Prime Minister is doing is very proactive. We must appreciate the current scenario. And I think opposition, unfortunately, they just wait for an opportunity to condemn each and every policies and principles which the government is doing it. I think it's the right time for us. It's good that, if we are doing a carpooling, it's good. I think Congress government sometime back, as Chidambaram had made a statement sometime back, asking the public not to buy gold. I mean, we forget so quickly, and we are just ready to bounce and blame the government. I think it's time for opposition to stand by the government and say where it is, because in the interest of the public is most important now. I think what Prime Minister is doing, we need to support him at this point in time.
Okay, this is a time for all Indians to come together, even political parties for that, says a previous caller as well. But let me take you across, Vijay Sardana, let me take you across to one of the points that even those who are supporting it are saying that the government should come out and make clear what are the measures that will ensure that our economy does not go towards any kind of recessionary trend. Of course, there are huge challenges that we could be potentially, looking at in the future, but that is also a point of view that is being expressed. How do you answer that?
See, people also want to know, that things should become clear. But the problem is, in this volatile situation, if Prime Minister trying to say that things will be out of control if we don't do it, it will create further panic. So maybe it is just to prepare people that you start, putting house in order. Because my estimate is that if Iran war continues, and compared to last year and this year, our import bill will increase anything from 150 to 250 billion dollar additional dollars will be required. On the other side, our exports are not doing that great, and remittance is also likely to come down. It means the deficit, the current account deficit, will become a bigger challenge. And that will further depress, or I will say devalue, the rupee against dollar, and which will further create a cascading effect. So Prime Minister knows that there is a crisis, but he cannot be very explicit by saying that there is a crisis and we need additional $250 billion, but I don't know from where I should get it. Hence, I am asking you to cut down your demands.
Okay.
This statement from head of the country can further create panic, and there will be a cash outflow from the stock market. There will be a crash on the rupee side, and then there will be many more vested interests they will creep in. So I think step by step you will see some more bad news, but there is a chance that by public contribution, Prime Minister is trying to salvage the situation.
Right. Let me quickly go across to our next viewer who's joining us. We have Shankar from Ghaziabad. Yes, Shankar.
Good evening, sir. I welcome Prime Minister's sessions. I have a few points to make.
Yeah.
One is we can increase the GST on gold from 3% to 10%. Number two, when Mr. talked about lab diamond, nothing has happened, no progress has been made. She also talked about Make in India fertilizer.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, your audio is not very clear. I request you to speak a little loudly and a little more clearly if possible.
Sir, I am telling GST can increase from 3% to 10% on gold. Okay, sir, can you hear?
Okay. GST on gold should be increased.
To 10%.
Okay.
From 3% to 10%.
Okay.
And that lab diamond, progress is very slow in lab diamond.
Okay.
That's announced in budget.
All right, all right. We will try and connect with you, sir. Your audio is not particularly clear, so let me quickly take this across to, our previous speaker, Dr. Malhotra, somebody there who's suggesting what you had said, increasing, the impact as far as gold taxes are concerned. GST should be increased from to 10% is the suggestion coming in. But what are you really expecting, apart from the fuel price hike, which many say, given the kind of LPG hike we've already seen of commercial cylinders, that's something that could potentially be around the corner. What would be the magnitude, in your view, Dr. Malhotra, if at all the government decides to do it?
Of the petrol and diesel price hike?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I expect a price hike of nothing less than 5 rupees per litre on both diesel as well as petrol. But I just hope, as you said earlier, rightly, that diesel should not be taxed. But, equally important, Madhav, is the other thing that I was talking about. It's absolutely critical, for the government to actually reduce its fiscal deficit. to increase the price of urea, because it's actually damaging the soil and it's reducing productivity. So therefore, it's critical that the government raises the price of urea, because currently urea is being overused while potassic and phosphoric fertilizer is being used to a lesser extent. That's a problem for the soil. And this is happening only because of the fertilizers, excessive urea subsidy. The urea subsidy should be reduced. That means price of urea should go up in the market, because when it's extremely cheap, what also happens is that smuggling takes place. Urea is then, transported by smugglers to Bangladesh and to other neighboring countries. In addition, what happens is that urea begins to be used in other products. For other uses. So, all kinds.
Which is why the government has also said the neem coating is something that prevents its misuse in other areas. But Kshitij Mahajan, I want you to come in on another aspect. The Prime Minister, I found it interesting that he spoke earlier about not taking a lot of foreign vacations. Today, he even said that destination weddings, if any, can happen in India, perhaps at the Statue of Unity. Now, what really will be the impact of those spending those valuable dollars at a crucial time like this outside the country? Would you like to explain that to our viewers?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, so there is a window.
No, the question for Kshitij, please.
Under which you can take. There's a window of LRS under which you can take per pan $250,000 dollar outside every year. Let's say if a family of 4 is there, they can take 10 lakh USD every year and they can invest outside. My sense is you might see some cut on that, or maybe halt on that also. You might see that also. Second, I see that on overall situation, you might see some taxes, as they are 20% TCS is there if you spend more than 7.5 lakh rupees. That can step up also. But if you ask me, on the oil side, they already have 70 days inventory when the war started. Now 70 days has gone. They have right now oil between $80 to $100. So you might see some hike in petrol and diesel, not much, maybe around 4-5 rupees. But LRS is one window where you might see some action, because my sense, close to about $8 to $10 billion every year move out of India through LRS window and get invested outside. So that's a huge amount of volume there also.
All right. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us, in fact, this evening and explaining this to our viewers. I'd like to thank Vijay Sardana, Kshitij Mahajan, Dr. Santosh Mehrotra and Mr. Rajesh Rokte, who was earlier with us, as well as all our viewers who joined us with your views.